10 fragrances that have a seductive and intoxicating scent trail. These fragrances have a lot of depth and character. Now, unlike my normal videos, I'm going to split this video into two because I want to have two lists of 5 rather than a long list of 10. These first 5 fragrances all leave an incredibly seductive and intoxicating scent trail. So in other words, the sillage is really memorable. Starting off with SAUVAGE ELIXIR, I should point out that I haven't really sorted these out in order of like 1 to 10. These are just 10 fragrances that I've really thought about that have the most incredible sillage, and they all smell very expensive. So starting off with SAUVAGE ELIXIR, for me this is the most expensive smelling and high quality SAUVAGE fragrance, and if you buy SAUVAGE ELIXIR and you wear it, you don't need to be worried that you smell like a typical wearer of Dior Sauvage. It doesn't really come across as the same scent profile, so people smelling this on you will not recognize it as Dior Sauvage. The original Sauvage DNA is in here, but you have to really search for it. It's not going to be one that you find really easily. SAUVAGE ELIXIR is very spicy with lots of lavender. This is like the epitome of a head-turning fragrance. Because of the spices in here and the overall scent profile, it's just a fragrance that is going to garner a lot of attention, and it is really strong as well. The performance on this is fantastic, and I think it's one of the best scent profiles I've ever smelled. Another designer fragrance up next. We are going to split these between designer and niche fragrances, but up next, Stronger With You Intensely. This is very seductive and very intoxicating because this is such a room-filling fragrance, and I mean that literally, not just saying words that fragrance reviewers say. This is a room-filling fragrance. I've actually had experience of this, spraying it in my office at work, leaving for 10-15 minutes, coming back, and the whole room smelling like Stronger With You Intensely. This is very wintry and comforting. It really smells like a cozy winter day. It's very sweet. You have a beautiful toffee or caramel note in here with some nuttiness, but whilst it is a sweet leaning fragrance, it somehow retains some really manly quality, so it still smells like a men's fragrance. I think this is really good for going out because it is so strong and room filling. It's a fragrance that is going to cut through the cold air. It will cut through all the other smells around you, so it's a really good fragrance to wear in a social setting, and it will certainly smell very seductive because of the sweet, nutty notes that are in here. Now up next, a niche fragrance, and this is the first time I'm trying to explain this scent. It's very unique and it is unlike anything that I've tried before. This is GANYMEDE by Marc-Antoine Barros. I'm sure I'm pronouncing that incorrectly, but GANYMEDE. This is the original Eau de Parfum concentration. I do have the EXTRAIT, and perhaps in the future I will do a video comparing the two, but this is unbelievably unique, unbelievably intoxicating, just so different and so interesting. I love interesting, intriguing, and different fragrances, and as soon as I tried this for the first time, I realized how special and unique it was. Now, it's very hard to explain GANYMEDE because it is so different and there's not much to compare it to. It's a little bit woody, it's a bit floral, it's a bit green. There is a sort of cleanliness in here as well, but it's also a bit spicy, so it's not really a fresh fragrance, but it has some fresh characteristics, but also some kind of sweet, spicy characteristics as well. There's a synthetic mineral note in here, which I think gives it the really different, unique edge. And I believe also that's what makes this smell a bit fresh and a bit clean. GANYMEDE is unique but intriguing. It's warm but clean, and it's inviting but daring. It's a really difficult scent to describe, and in my opinion, if you're just into fragrances in any way, this really is a must try. I can't really suggest the best way to wear this because I think the individual user will find a use case for it. I think it's really strong. It's strong and polarizing, so that for me means a social gathering. Doesn't really suit a date night because it's so different, but because of the cleanliness in here, I could see this being worn by a certain person as a signature fragrance. If it's something you feel comfortable wearing, I think this could be the most special and most amazing signature scent, and it's something, and it's a scent that people will really remember you by because it is strong, clean, different, but daring. Now up next, we do have another very distinctive fragrance, and another one that I have not described before on camera. This is GRIS CHARNEL EXTRAIT, and for me, like GANYMEDE, this is unique and different, but it does not smell like GANYMEDE. It's its own fragrance. It's just as distinctive and as intriguing as GANYMEDE is. GRIS CHARNEL EXTRAIT is a lot more sweet and spicy than GANYMEDE. There's no sort of cleanliness in here. There's no freshness in here. It focuses more on sweet, spicy notes, a beautiful fruity and green fig note. Now, fig is a note that is not often found in fragrances. There are a few fragrances with the note of fig, but you won't come across the note as other fruity notes. But fig is very fruity and distinctive smell, but also has some greenness as well. Now, this GRIS Chanel Extrait also has the note of iris, and I think the iris in here gives it a powderiness and a woodiness that really helps balance the sweetness. There's a lot of sweetness in here from vanilla, and I think the iris gives it this sort of woodiness and powderiness that really helps to contrast that sweetness. I would say this is a good formal occasion fragrance if it's not too warm outside. Because of the sweetness and spiciness, it could be a little bit too daring if it's too warm. However, if you like this, wear it whenever you want. I'm just telling you my use case for GRIS Chanel Extrait. I would argue that GRIS Chanel Extrait is one of the best and most complete date night fragrances you could ever buy. I think this is just a fragrance that would make such an impression on a date night. Maybe not a first date, but you know, going out with somebody you've been with for a while and met a few times, this would work really well, I think, because it's got all the characteristics of a perfect date night fragrance. It smells sweet but formal, and I think it would leave an amazing impression. Lastly, we have another designer fragrance. This is Hugo Boss Magnetic. For me, this is the best in the scent line. It's the most enjoyable to me. Lots of vanilla in here. It's powdery, it's vanilla. It has a really interesting kind of cereal note as well, which is a note that I have not smelt in any other fragrance. And at the top, you have this fruity note. It's supposedly from Maninka fruit, another note that is unique to the scent line. So in this fragrance, you have a couple of notes that you are not going to find in other fragrances. That is the Maninka fruit note and the cereal-like note that you get, which adds a kind of powdery woodiness to it. Fundamentally, this is a sweet vanilla powdery scent that I think you can wear to most situations. It's not one I would categorize particularly. It's quite versatile, actually. It's not super strong and offensive or divisive, so you can pretty much rock this anywhere. But I think the sweetness gives this a really kind of seductive and intoxicating scent trail, which is the theme of today's video. I think Hugo Boss are releasing some really good fragrances at the minute. Some hits and miss, of course, because they release so many. The scent line in general is a very good line of fragrances, and there's one called Private Accord, which is another really excellent fragrance from the line, but that has sadly been discontinued. So out of the fragrances we have from the scent line, I believe Magnetic to be the best one, and it's certainly my favorite. So the next video I post on my channel, which hopefully be tomorrow, but I will link the video in this description once it's done. And also, if you go onto my channel, the next video is going to be part 2 of these seductive and intoxicating fragrances that leave an amazing scent trail. It's really worth watching because the next 5 I've got are absolutely fantastic, and I can't wait to talk to you about it. So let me know, out of these 5, which one is your favorite? See you soon.